Real thoughts, real trades, real journey. A video journal documenting the lessons learned on my journey to becoming a disciplined trader. Welcome to Trading the Journey. I'm Neil, and today I want to share a trading day that taught me one important lesson. Let's see what the market had to teach me. Well, I gotta say that today was one of my most heartbreaking days. On all of my trades, I wasn't emotional. I didn't feel any emotion towards them, but I did feel a little, actually a lot of disappointment. My bias was bullish. There was a nice grind up until about 1 p.m. yesterday, and then a little bit of a grind down, a pullback, and then after midnight, there was a nice grind up until about 6 a.m. It broke structure around 8:30. Kind of did a little bit of a double bottom. The daily chart, was showing a bullish harami, but turns out that, that wasn't the day that we had. On the overall time frames, on the 60-minute and the 15-minute, there was a bit of a downtrend from 6 a.m. and so I was just thinking it was going to go either way. I was looking for a few plays. I didn't get my normal plays that I would get, fence, power bar. I could have done a power bar and I didn't, and I was looking for something else. I don't know what I was really thinking. What I did end up taking was what I thought would be reversals. As you can see what was going on, there was right here almost a double bottom here at about 10 a.m. And so I was kind of playing off of this support. And I took this trade. I actually took it on the 1 minute chart right here. I actually took it on the 1 minute chart, where normally I would play on a 2 minute chart, but I took this on a 1 minute chart. And as you can see, it reached 1-to-1, but it never closed above there. The bears came back in and pushed this thing back down, and the trade lost. I don't know what to think about that. I felt I made the right play. I was playing right off of that support, and it just didn't turn out that way. The 15-minute chart was still showing a downtrend. But the amazing thing was that I was devoid of any emotion. I didn't feel any emotion toward that. That was the first loss. I took a total of 3 trades today. The second trade was on the 2 minute chart this time. And we had this bear candle that took out the low of the day, but I played this trade. Got in at a good price, never even reached the 1-to-1, and it turned around and stopped me out. A little bit of a disappointment maybe, but still, it was crushing, It was just crushing. And but I wasn't emotional about it. I felt like I still had a clear head about what I was doing, felt really confident about what I was doing. It was, in my view, it was such a good trade to go off of. It had broken through the previous day low. Pre-market low was, it was already gone. That first trade is what really did it. It went through the pre-market low, but then it rejected. So that was the second trade, and then this third trade, I saw kind of this higher low right here, and it completed above that recent swing high. So in a way, it looks kind of an inverted head and shoulders a little bit. So the way it was coming up, then lower low, and then we had this higher low, and it just out of nowhere decided to reverse. I don't know what to think. I decided to shut it down at that point. I did wait a little bit longer just to watch what was going on. You know, in my mind there was kind of this urge to get back in, but I decided to shut it down. You know, kind of like baseball, 3 strikes you're out. And that was it. That was my day. You know, and as you can see, it did make a return to the upside eventually in the afternoon. But then it came right back down again. It was just total drop. The only thing I can do is continue to trade my trades, continue to learn, you know, what the Qs are doing, and you know, continue to participate. You know, I'm grateful that I get to participate at least participate. You know, this is my second try with a funded account with Take Profit Trader. This is my second month. You know, so at some point, you know, something will click. Right now, I kind of feel a little bit of a disappointment. You know, right now it's just, I don't know what to think. I'll sleep it off. I'll come back tomorrow and really forget about what today was. It's not that I haven't lost like this before and bounced back. It's just, you know, with trying to learn and trying to be consistent, it's, you know, it was heartbreaking. So I can't really, there's nothing I can do about it. So I'll just come back tomorrow and do it again. So, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Thank you for joining me for today's lesson. The market has voted. Today's lesson is written. I hope something from today's trade helps you on your own journey towards becoming a more disciplined trader. If today's trade reminded you of something you've experienced yourself, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed today's journal entry, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button on the video and subscribe to follow the journey. Until next time, real thoughts, real trades, real journey.